All right. Hey, good morning to you. It's Thursday. I hear my birds chirping outside. So it seems like they're enjoying the weather as well. I hope you are. Hope everything's good in your world. And man, you had a great night last night. Did a little studying yesterday. And then last night we sat down and watched a movie, The Resurrection of Gavin Stone or Gavin something. Anyway, it was a good movie. Done by the guy that produced The Chosen, Jenkins. But anyway, it's a good little movie, and just it was encouraging, just uh, from a little fun little perspective of just life change through Christ. So it was good. If you're looking for some kind of wholesome movie, that was a good one to watch. I think about an hour and a half long. So we look for short movies in the evening and just kind of, if we've got some time, we just chill and see what's going on. That's what was happening in our world yesterday. Today we got a busy day. I'm gonna do some working. I got safety meetings. I've got doing some personal development with my management staff on scheduling and things like that. And then got a lunch appointment with a friend and dinner with some friends. And so it's gonna be a good day. Then this weekend I think we're heading to Nashville to see some kiddos and spend the weekend with them, the Pardews of Nashville. So it should be fun. Hey, let's go ahead and let's just jump into some truth today. We are in Romans chapter 12, and we're still on verse 2. I know I kept thinking we're going to get through this, but man, there's just so much good truth in here. I think it's important that we slow down. This is the crucial piece, the hinge, really, of the whole book of Romans. Because everything after this is going to be application of what we talk about right now. And so that's kind of where we are and what we're doing. And so just to remind you, uh, Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2 moves us from this large theological understanding of who we were, dirty, rotten, stinking little sinners, how our best efforts or our worst efforts have separated us from Christ. And so we need him. And our works won't get us there. We can't claw our way there. We can't think our way there. We have to come to the realization that Jesus is Lord and that God raised him from the dead and that salvation is by faith in Christ alone. And so we looked at that and then we saw the value of that, what are the blessings of that, to be adopted as sons and daughters of the King, to be grafted into this great olive tree that God is producing in us and through us. And then we talked about the fact that there's now therefore no condemnation. The peace of God is real in our life. God is satisfied with us. In the midst of the worst that you're doing even today, if you're a Christ follower, he is satisfied because the blood of Christ constantly cleanses you and me from all sin. And so it's important that we know that we see that. And then he says, so then, and understand this, it's a permanent thing. He's faithful even if we're not faithful in that sense. What can separate us from this love that God has lavished on us? Nothing. We're more than conquerors through him who loved us. Not conquerors because of something that I'm doing, but what is in me, the Spirit of Christ. And so this is where we are. So then he comes in chapter 12 and he says, look, in light of all of that stuff, therefore, I'm begging you, I'm urging you, wake up. And brothers and sisters, right? Adopted sons and daughters of the King. That's who he's talking to. If you're a believer in Christ, you are an adopted son or daughter of the King. And he says, therefore, I'm urging you, son of the King, daughter of the King, by the mercies of God, by all this incredible mercy that God has shown to us, to present our bodies a living sacrifice. It's the reasonable service of our worship, that we just go, Lord, here I am. This is now, we do not live for ourselves, but we live for him, right? For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. For me, and I'm living in this life, it is his. The life that I now live, I live in Christ, not in my own ways of doing things. And so then he says, it is your reasonable spiritual service of worship. And then he says this is where we've been spending our time. Do not be conformed to this world. It's a passive participle. Don't allow the world to squeeze you into its mold. And the word world there is not cosmos, it's aeons. It means age. Don't be conformed to the age of this world. Whatever the world's deal is right now, don't be conformed to that, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the will of God, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. This is what it looks like to be renewed, right? And so this is the deal. And if we just, what I want to do, because we looked at it yesterday and we walked through several things about what that looks like. I took you through kind of a journey on the world, that word as it's used throughout the scriptures, so that we could get an understanding of what we're talking about here. This is practical truth. And this is where the church in so many ways fails. We're so focused on getting people to the cross that we fail to understand the resurrection and what it should be doing in our life. And so that we're so comfortable pushing the grace of God and speaking about, and really in a sense we're normalizing people. We're saying, hey, it's okay to be average, but here he's clearly not. He's saying, listen, now that you're a Christ follower, you need to come out from among the world and be separate. There's no way we can impact the world if we're all up in it. We have to come out of the world, that is, no longer live like the world does, think like the world does, behave like the world does, sound like the world. We have to come out of that, become holy, so that we can then impact the world. The Christian church is trying to impact the world today in a mediocre way, trying to look just like the world. And I don't mean by the way we dress and things like that, although that's a piece of it. So let's just kind of slow down. I want you to listen to some more scriptures. I told you yesterday, mark these two scriptures down and read them. Just in case you didn't, I'm going to do it for you today. So let's just look and see what happens. Now, before we get to those, this is what Paul told the Colossian church. It's similar to this. He says, see to it that that there is no one who takes you captive through philosophy and empty deception in accordance with human tradition, right? He says this is in accordance with the elementary principles of the world, the core basics of the world, rather in accordance with Christ. There's a great divide right now between the way the world lives and the way you and me live. And he says, listen, the philosophy of the world is vastly different. And if you just go to a bookstore, go look through the self-help counter, and you'll see it's all about boundaries, and it's all about living your best life, and it's all about taking care of yourself and self-care and all of that. As opposed, and it's a philosophy of the world. This is what you got to do. You got to. Every book on business is all about the hustle and mind mind shift and mind change and all of those things. And I'm not saying that there's some necessarily all of that's bad. It's a philosophy of the world, though. Look at it. Look at what's going on in America, and you see what's happening there in the world. And so there is this empty philosophy. It's a deception that says if you do these things, man, you're going to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. You can chase after fame all day long. You can chase after power. You can chase after money. You can chase after comfort. You're going to get to that place, and you're going to say, wow, I thought it'd be more. Let me try harder, right? There's a never-ending chase for things like that. And so this is what we have to think of. Now, listen to how James speaks of this and explains what pure and undefiled religion. It's just a warning, and then we're going to jump into to chapter 3. But James in chapter 1, verse 27 says this: pure and undefiled religion in the sight of God our Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their distress. What's he saying? To have your focus on others and to keep oneself unstained by the world so that you don't fall prey to the just filth of the world. Keep yourself from the filth of the world while you focus on others. That's a great, if we unpack that, we could be here forever as well. And so, but that's a great contrast of what we got to do, because worldliness is looking after me first, not anybody else, and then trying to involve myself as much in the world as I can in order to fit in, to feel good about myself. It's all about that. Now, this is what James says about wisdom. And so he says, I want you to hear the difference in the wisdom. So just listen to me before we jump into some practicality of this. Who among you is wise and understanding, James says? Let him show it by his good behavior, by his deeds in the gentleness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy, now this is, he's listing the world here. If you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, don't be arrogant so as to lie against the truth. What's he saying here? Listen, bitter jealousy is where you think the world has all that you want and you're bitter about it. And the disposition there is a terrible place to be. And your selfish ambition in your heart. So now you're wanting to live their life, to have their life. That's the problem so much with today, is that we start seeing our life. This whole victim mentality and this whole privilege and all of this stuff, it all comes from worldly deals. It's a bitter jealousy that the world is pushing on us to create division, because it's what Satan does. And he is what's behind the world. And then he says this wisdom, that kind of thought process, that you should compare yourselves to others and be jealous because they have more and try to somehow tear them down in order to build yourself up and to have this selfish ambition in your heart and make life all about you. It's a miserable way of living. He's saying, listen, we're not like that anymore. God didn't just save us to just let us kind of wallow around in the world. He saved us that he might separate us out from that, make us useful, make us holy. Holiness isn't just not doing wrong. Holiness is doing that which is pleasing to the Lord. And this is where we're going here. So he says, the wisdom is not that which comes down from above, but is earthly, natural, and demonic. You want to know what the world wisdom is? It's just earthly. It has no spiritual context to it. And notice that. Notice how the spiritual deal has been taken out of this. It's just earthly. It's natural. There's no looking for the supernatural. There's no sensing that there's a God that made us and that it's demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every evil thing. You want to know where this disorder and this evil comes from? It's this worldly system. You want to know why people aren't happy in the body that God created and gave to them? I don't mean the one that you've used in a way that has made it is wearing it out by your diet and all of that. I mean of the gender and the homosexuality, all of the letters. That's all a selfish ambition. It's just trying to stand out. It's trying to be something different. You're trying to find something. It's bizarre. Yet you see it. And he says, but the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial, free of hypocrisy. Right? And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Do you hear what he's saying there? What is wisdom from above? What does it look like to have your mind renewed? Well, it means you're going to be peace loving, right? You're not creating strife. You're about bringing peace, and I don't mean by acquisition. I don't mean by compromise. We're just peace-loving people. We're gentle. We're not harsh. We're not these ogres who come over the top and are just mad and angry all the time. We're gentle. We're reasonable. We're full of mercy and good fruits. This is what it looks like to come out from the world, to go, look, I'm not playing those games. Now, this is what John says. Do not love the world, nor the things of the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. You can't have two masters. You can't love the world. You can't play the harlot. You can't be a polygamist spiritually. You either are going to love God or love the world. There's no way to love both. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, that is me wanting stuff, right? To collect, to enjoy the sexual perversion that's going on in the world. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, that is to want possessions, to take hold of things, to see stuff, and just have this insatiable appetite for more stuff. Even Jesus says that, man, quit storing up for yourself treasure on earth where moth and rust destroy, right? This is the contrast that he's speaking of. And then the boastful pride of life, to gather all the stuff and then to go, look at me, aren't I special? Man, when life has to be all about you, it is the worst kind of life that you could live. And he says, that's not from the Father, but from the world. Now, we know what Satan has done. He's come to steal, kill, and to destroy, right? And so he presents himself as an angel of light. Listen, every religion out there, other than Christ, other than ours, the Christian faith, the God of that religion is Satan, masquerading as an angel of light. Who's the god behind the Hindus? All the millions of gods they have? Satan. Who's the god behind Buddha? Satan. Who's the god behind Islam? Satan, right? It's all of that. Pick a religion. That's what it's coming from. Yet, so you can see that. That's why there's no real peace. There's nothing there. Not in any of those. And then he says, or he's a roaring lion, right? He's just just loud roar, trying to scare you into doing things. It so reminds me of Pilgrim's Progress and Christian's journey in this life, where he gets distracted by so many different things and can't live and enjoy the life that he has because Vanity Fair. He sees that, hey, maybe I can have all this stuff in a quick way. Or he sees the two lions on either side of the pathway, and he's fearful of pressing forward, right? These are the things that happen. So what does it look like? Practically speaking, for the 4 minutes we have left, what does that look like? Well, practically speaking, don't be conformed to the world. The world and all its sexual deviations, all of its dehumanizing, all of its destruction, right? You see that in the world, and that's what the world pushes. You know, even now in the progressive church, you know what they're slamming right now? Their big deal is purity culture. Remember the I Kissed Dating Goodbye and all of those things, and the idea of modest dress and saving yourself for marriage and all that. They're saying that's what destroyed most of them, and that's what sent them over the edge and made them feel guilty about their body and about their their exploits and all of those things. And so you see the world, even from within inside the church, beginning to push this stuff. And so you see that. God has always had one standard, one man, one woman, sexually, forever, right, till death, right? That's been the goal. The idea of anything else is beyond that. The idea of trying to entice others to lust after you, all of those things, you cannot care about people if that's a part of your lifestyle. So it's just important that we hear that. Now, I know you're going to hear me as some old man, geezer trying to tell you to put on more clothes or whatever. And that, I'm not telling you any of that. I'm just saying this is what part of this looks like. It's material ownership. It's always chasing the shiny stuff. There's a discontent. As long as we think, man, if I had one more new thing, I'd be happy. If I had one more whatever. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with shiny stuff. There's nothing wrong with new stuff. It's the holy discontent that happens when we're thirsting after more, when we're not content, right? Paul says this, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. We like to take that and make it some mantra that we can beat the world up. But it's not that. Paul's like, hey, I know how to live in prosperity. I know how to live in poverty. I know what it's like to go without. I'm content. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can live with money. I can live without money. It's not affecting me. That's what he means. Now, you add to those issues, and there is a worry, there is a stress that comes into your life. Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount reminds us that that's a silly way of living life. But I'm telling you, the reason why so many of you are anxious and on medication because you've allowed the world to squeeze you into its mold. Because you think there's a certain way of living and you've got to have it, and that God's not necessarily going to provide for yourself. You got to get what you can take, and you got to figure it out, and you got to do it. And I'm not talking about planning. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want you to understand this is worldly stuff. If you're anxious and you're depressed, the world squeezes you into its mold. Christ followers who aren't a part of that, who have come out from among the world, that's not their fight. And I don't mean to sound angry against you and make you feel like there's something wrong with you. I'm just telling you, wake up. God hasn't called us to those things. Same thing with the area of pride, this obsession with ourselves, the jealousy, the competition, the envy, all of that stuff. It's disorder. That's what he says it creates. Listen, let's pretend that we are all at the same level, whether you have money or whether you don't, whether your body image is good or it's bad. Whether your color is this or that, right? Let's quit this division stuff, this jealousy, this competition. It's a focus on yourself and not others. It is what sin did at the core. So you and me should stop that. You see it played out in the disobedience of the world. Man, we've taken our cue from the world. We divorce at the same rate everybody else does. Whereas our kids are as unruly as the world's are. They're as disobedient, dishonoring, right? Anxiety, depression, all of this stuff is taken over. Take inventory of your life and see what you're saturating your mind with. Look at your activity in your Netflix and see what it is and look at it and go, is that really what I want to ingest in my life? Take a look at your music. Read the lyrics. See what they say. Look at your social media feed, what you've posted, what other people have posted. And, man, let's just renew our mind. Let's just shift this thing. All right, man, I've kept you longer than I was in this whole thing. And maybe we're through. I don't know. I just want to make sure we're clear on this. All right, man, Lord bless you guys. Have a great day. And Lord willing, I'll see you in the morning unless I'm on the road heading to Nashville. So I'll see you then.